What's going on, wrestling family? Welcome back to the channel. So let's talk about last night's episode of SmackDown. Before we go into that, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the bell next to it to get an update every time I upload a video. Let's get into this. So last night's episode of SmackDown started off with Paul Heyman in the center of the ring and doing basically what he always does when Roman Reigns has an opponent at a pay-per-view. They did announce last night that LA Knight will be facing Roman Reigns for the undisputed Universal Ketchup and Mustard Championship belt at Crown Jewel. And Paul Heyman is doing what he always does, rinse and repeat, you know what I'm saying? But it's still entertaining. I'm not taking away from anything from that. He comes out, bigs up the opponent. Hey, I like what you do. I respect you, blah, blah, blah. I like what you do. And then eventually he says, hey, it's like you're wearing you wear a large when you go into a store and buying clothes. You're going to take an L every single time. I like you. I respect you, but you're going to take an L. He basically said Roman Reigns is going to smash LA Knight. Now, I finally got to the point where I fully understand when I get what they were saying before, but the thing is, growing up, someone saying they're going to smash somebody, it didn't mean the same thing. So Roman Reigns had to rewire my brain into understanding that it does mean something else. I get what it means, but it's just changing the understanding of it in my head. But that's neither here nor there. So Paul Heyman's doing all this talking about LA Knight, and LA Knight eventually comes out and he says, you're trying to say that Spear was a warning shot? Where's Roman Reigns? I want to see Roman Reigns out here, but since I can't talk to him, I will talk to you. And this whole back and forth between LA Knight and Paul Heyman in the ring on the microphone was funny. It was hilarious. It was at one point where Paul Heyman tried to step one foot out the ring, and LA Knight basically said, you step one more foot out the ring, I'm going to hit you so hard, I'm going to knock your hair back to white. And I'm like, dang, did LA Knight say he gonna knock the black off Paul Heyman? It's crazy because either one or two things are true. Either Paul Heyman has some cheap Dollar Tree hair dye, or LA Knight is an Avenger. Like, to hit somebody so hard that their body wants to escape the pain so much that it starts changing colors. It's some crazy stuff. But at the end of the day, he was punking Paul Heyman the entire segment, even at one point to where Paul Heyman was saying his quote. He had the man saying yeah over and over like he was quoting an Usher song. Like, that was crazy. But it reminded me of when The Rock used to punk Coach back in the day in the backstage segments. The only thing missing here was that LA Knight didn't make Paul Heyman do a Charleston in front of the camera and kick him in the butt. But other than that, I thought this was a very interesting segment, a very entertaining segment. I loved it. And at the end of it, LA Knight pretty much punched the microphone into Paul Heyman's chest, and Paul Heyman pretty much whimpered at that point. So we see this happen all the time. Paul Heyman talks bad about somebody. They come out and confront him. He starts scatting and turn into Porky Pig, and he never remembers anything he said before then, and he gets scared. But that is the beauty of what Paul Heyman does and what he brings as far as being a manager, as far as entertainment value. So the next segment we had, John Cena came down to the ring, and he didn't look like himself. He basically looked like he was sad. He had some important news to give the crowd. And I was like, no, because I was supposed to go to the SmackDown next week. And I think they were saying that that was his last match of the year or his last appearance of the year. And I can't go because I have to go to a wedding rehearsal and there's a wedding that weekend. So I was just like, dang. If he retires today, I'm gonna be sick to my stomach, bro. Ain't enough Pepto-Bismol in the world that's gonna take this away. Because if this man retires, and that was my last opportunity to be able to see him, I'll be upset. And he comes out, he looks sad. I can feel the feelings inside of me because, old heads like myself, when we see people we grew up watching start to retire, it feels like it's adding 10 years to our own lives. It feels like we're getting older as soon as that person says they're going to retire. And John Cena starts to review his career and tells us a shocking stat that he hasn't won a wrestling match since 2018. 2018. So for the people who say that he doesn't put people over, this guy's been taking L's since 2018. Now, granted, he's had part-time years. It isn't like he's wrestling 50 matches a year or anything like that. But at the same time, for someone at his stature, him being a legend and taking L's like that up until this point, it's respectable. I mean, if you grew up in a WCW, WWF era, legends weren't taking losses like that. They didn't want to. In fact, they were burying, especially in WCW, they were burying young talent every single time and taking all the money left and right. But that's neither here nor there. So watching this, I'm like, oh man, please don't retire, bro. And then he eventually flips the script and says, no, I'm not quitting. I'm not. And I'm like, John Cena, bro, we gonna fight, bro. We gonna have to fight, bro. You can't do this to me. I can't afford to have these type of emotional roller coasters happening to me right now. And he, at the end, basically says, whatever idiot comes down that ramp, I'm gonna smoke him. And I'm like, whoa, okay, all right, let's go, let's go. He gonna smoke the next person. I'm all for Team Old Head. Let's get inspired. We could do anything in life. Age is nothing but a number. And then all of a sudden, Solo Sikoa music hit. And I'm like, oh, you're not smoking Solo. You might be smoking cigarettes. You might be smoking some Marlboro. You might be smoking some Black and Mild. You're not smoking Solo Score. And even John Cena was looking on his face like, oh man, like I didn't know Solo was gonna come out here. Y'all got any more security guards back that want to wrestle? You got some up and coming NXT wrestlers that want to wrestle. But what I respect about John Cena is when Solo Sikoa came out to the ring, he pretty much tried to give him a death stare, and John Cena stand 10 toes deep and was like, hey, if it's you, it's gotta be you. I made the offer. You accepted the challenge. So he was thinking the old head thoughts in his head, like, hey, I don't want to do this to you, but I got to. You know what I'm saying? So once he comes out, then all of a sudden, once him and John Cena gets to a brawl, Jimmy the Hater Uso, dressed like an upside down ketchup bottle, comes out to the ring and gets involved in the match. And then here comes somebody else dressed like Adam from the Power Rangers first movie, the Black Ranger. And we're like, who is this? We all know who it is. It's Jey Uso. Pulls Jimmy Uso out. They have a brawl outside the ring. Jey Uso super kicks him over the barricade. And Jimmy Uso time out, bro, time out. And I'm like, bro, time out. You cost the man the Universal Championship and cost him the Tag Team Championship. Ain't no timeout. It's on site every single time, bro. He a bull and you wearing red. You know what's going to happen every single time. And his security takes Jimmy up to backstage. And as that's happening, John Cena and Solo Sikoa is having a back and forth brawl. John Cena hits him with the FU or the attitude adjustment. And then that's the end of that whole thing. And then as we go backstage, we see that Nick Aldis is standing there with Adam Pearce and Jey Uso, and basically is upset about Jey Uso coming to SmackDown and attacking Jimmy Uso. Now, what I respect about Adam Pearce is in this segment, Adam Pearce is like, hey, he didn't get this from nowhere. Nick Aldis, do you remember your SmackDown superstar Jimmy Uso came to Raw and did what he did? He's just repaying what he had to do. And then Nick was like, oh, we're going to find this guy 10 bands, bro. We're going to have to find this guy $10,000. And Adam Pearce, like, if you're going to find him $10,000, you got to find his brother $10,000 because they did the exact same thing, which kind of messed up, bro. Taking 20 grand from a family is it's pretty crazy, but they got it. They get paid good. But Nick Aldis like, you know what? We're going to have we're going to have Jey Uso get escorted out of this building. And Adam Pearce is like, you don't have to do that. I'll just escort him out. And then Nick Aldis was like, oh, okay. So you talking like this on my show? Okay, well, not only do Jay got to get out of here, we're going to get you out of here too. And then Adam Pearce is looking at him. He took his glasses off. He's like, oh, so that's what you want? That's what you want? You going to kick me out of here like this? And Nick Aldis looked at him like, hey, man, I don't care about you taking your glasses off. Unless you Scott Summers, unless you Cyclops from X-Men, taking off your glasses don't scare me. Get out. You can get out too. And then Adam Pearce is like, you know what? Let the games begin. And you know what that means? War games for Survivor Series. So I'm very interested in how they're going to build that up. I'm excited because I will be at Survivor Series. That's going to be very, very exciting. Now, moving on to the next segment. So Logan Paul comes out to the ring and basically calls out Rey Mysterio. One of the things he does mention is that match he had on DAZN against Dylan Dennis. And I saw that match and Logan Paul basically says that match was terrible. It was not a competition. And I agree with 100%. That match was awful. That was an awful, awful boxing match. All this build up to that match for that match, I didn't pay for it. Someone else did. I saw it. It was terrible, but we're talking about WWE right now. But eventually, Rey Mysterio comes out with a dope mask, a Louis Vuitton shirt, and things like that. You know what I'm saying? Coming through, killing. They making some good money over there in the Mysterio household. But he basically offers a match to Logan Paul, saying, hey, let's have a match at Crown Jewel for the United States Championship belt. I'm excited about this match because every time Logan Paul comes out, especially when it comes to pay-per-view matches, this guy delivers every single time. Regardless of how you feel about him personally, I get that. I understand that. But just on his in-ring performance, he delivers every single time. And for a match against Rey Mysterio, I think that match is going to be fantastic. All these acrobatics and things it's going to be a great match. And I'm hoping that Logan Paul wins that title because Rey Mysterio doesn't really need that belt at all. He doesn't. He's cemented. He just got inducted into WWE Hall of Fame and he's still wrestling and winning titles, which in itself is a great feat. But I feel like that Logan Paul should win it. And since I will be at Survivor Series, I would love to see him have a rematch against Ricochet for that title and have Ricochet win it at Survivor Series. That would be fantastic. You guys know I'm a huge, huge Ricochet fan. I understand that he's had the title before, but this time around, I feel like the way that things are being booked in WWE, the way things are being handled, I feel like this run will be absolutely amazing for Ricochet. And and the reason why I want Logan Paul to lose it to him as well is because I know Logan Paul is not going to be here for the long run. He's just here for basically the big pay-per-views for the Crown Jewels, for Survivor Series, for the Big Four, and the high-paying pay-per-views like Crown Jewel. And I get it. I get it. WWE wants to pay him. Why not give him that money from over there? Okay. But anyways, moving on to the next thing. So at some point, we had a match between Io Sky and Charlotte Flair for guess what? Guess what? It was for the title. Who would have known Charlotte Flair would have been involved in a match that had to do with the title? But I was not complaining about it. I mean, it's going to happen. It is what it is. But at the end of the day, I did really like this match. There's one spot that I was like, oh, it's great. Like, Io Sky tried to do a moonsault on Charlotte Flair, and Charlotte Flair hit her with a kangaroo kick. I'm surprised Io Sky body didn't snap in half, or her insides didn't come out, because that was crazy. But at the end of the day, Charlotte Flair pretty much pinned Io Sky. She had her for the 1, 2, 3 count, but she didn't get to the 3 count because Bayley grabbed Io Sky's leg, put it on the rope, and the referee had to intervene and stop the entire thing. So Charlotte was actually going to win that belt at that time, but Bayley helped Io Sky, and Charlotte got pissed off at that point and came up to Bayley while Bayley was on the apron and rocked her muffin. I ain't never seen somebody get punched that hard in WWE in a long time. She even hit her one time, and she's like, oh, so your head is still on your shoulders. Okay, I still got to keep going. She chases this girl around the outside of the ring and attacks her and throws her over the announcement table. Now, when she comes back to the ring, eventually Io Sky pins her for the 1, 2, 3 count, and then she retains her title at that point. Now, as Damage Control is stumping a mud hole into Charlotte Flair, eventually Bianca Belair comes out and saves Charlotte Flair, and that is the end of that. You know, so for me at this point, I know I talk about this a lot. I feel like that they always have the same participants in these women title matches when it comes to SmackDown. It's always Bianca Belair there, Asuka's there, or Charlotte Flair. But specifically for Charlotte and Bianca Belair, I would love to see what they can do when they're nowhere near a title, when they're not involved with anyone that has to do with a title. They're great title holders, but after seeing what Becky did, excluding the tag team championship belt, and before she got the NXT title, for her to have involvement in storylines with people that made them feel like it was a lot more important than anything else that was happening with those titles at all for the women. I want to see Bianca Belair and Charlotte be able to hold something, to be able to have a feud, to be able to do something that's nowhere near a title contendership, nowhere near a title match, and see how they can hold on their own without being around that. I guess some people feel like that Charlotte's like her dad. She has to be around titles all the time. But let's see what she can do, because I feel like that although they are great champions, let's see what they can do without it. You know, I think they can do great without it. And I just want to see it, you know. And I'm not hating. I feel like that they have the ability to do so. But I also feel like that Triple H, he has the ability to display that. I think he's great at that. So I would love to see that happen as well, and just give some other people opportunities at these situations. You know, that's just my thought on that. But overall, I thought it was a pretty good match. And I think this is obviously going to set up the tag team match at Survivor Series. Or maybe it'll happen at Crown Jewel. Maybe it'll happen Crown Jewel between Bianca Belair and Charlotte versus Io Sky and Bayley. Obviously, Dakota's not going to be involved. She's not clear for in-ring action yet. So I think that's going to happen at Crown Jewel, which I think is still going to be a good match. You know, I always say that. I feel like that these are going to be good matches. But even with those title matches, at some point we gotta do a little change here and there. You know, it's just like the same shoe with different colorway at this point. But anyways, so at the end of the day, it was a pretty good episode of SmackDown. I'm missing some things in this video, but I didn't want to make this a 45-minute video. We had some great things happening here. Some returns like Bianca Belair and Logan Paul coming back to accept the match against Rey Mysterio for the United States Championship at Crown Jewel. You got the whole segment with LA Knight and Paul Heyman. Carlito helping out Escobar in his match against Montez Ford. It was so many entertaining things happening there. Let me know in the comment section, what is your favorite part of SmackDown from last night? And what matches you would love to see at Crown Jewel and or Survivor Series. I love to hear what you guys got to say. Thank you guys so much for your support. It's early in the morning. I woke up to do this. I'm going back to bed. Salute, peace, have a good day.